Welcome. Uh, we're going to do an ag project. So, we're in Sketchbook. I picked the picture. You're going to go to Sketchbook. You're going to upload the picture. Find a still life of a farm scene, something you can recreate. So, this is or intro lesson to digital painting. I'm going to put it off to the side. I'm going to probably forget to add a new layer. I switch to a pencil. I turn the opacity down. Very light. I turn to black. And then that's in the puck. I tried to show you that there. Changing the color. You should have an idea of what you're doing. And if you don't, mess around with stuff, experiment, you'll figure it out. So I try to put the basic structure in, but again, I forgot to put it on a better layer. So go to the top right hand corner to hit the plus sign. You'll make a new layer. Use your layers. They're very helpful, especially in digital painting. I like to start with my center piece, and that's a good use of comparative measuring. So I'm going to use this shape to measure off all the other shapes. And right now I'm just sketching them super light, super sketchy. I'm not really worried about positioning because I'm going to use layers and add on and add on and add on. Again, just sketching in the basic shapes and structures of what I'm trying to recreate. And here's an example. Where's the top of the cup that's sitting out? It's not quite to the top of the um, water can. So I don't want to go as high. Everything is comparative measurements. So I compare where things are to where other things are, and I try to. Alright, so here's again a basic idea of um, comparative measurement. So you can see where the top of the finger is, the knuckle, and you can see I'm making lines across. Visually, you're able to do this, but you can also just put your lines and do straight lines across. You can also do this up and down to see where things are according to where they should be. And hopefully when you're sketching it out, you're going to hit that idea. Alright, you have your sketch done, you're moving on. Get a new layer, and then start refining your sketch. So I like to use maybe a marker over the top of it. You could change the color. You can always change the color of your layer. So if you started in like a blue, you can always go in, change the hue, change the saturation back down to black. Also be sure to change the size of your brush. I use a little slider on the side as well. I'm just trying to refine my edges here. You can turn your layer off, first layer off with your eyeball. I would leave it, just leave the layers. And now what I'm going to start to do is get the color. So you can just click and hold, you get that little bullseye, and you can get the color of things. Colored in a lot neater than I did. And also you'll notice that I am on not a new layer. So make sure that you get yourself a new layer every time. I'm going to end up deleting this little piece. Number one, because it's sloppy and messy, but number two, because it's on the wrong layer, which is the more important thing, I guess. Your layers are super important when using Sketchbook. They make this digital painting way easier, so make sure you're using layers and using them properly. You can use any tool to add color. Right now I'm using a marker. Go in and I select a different one. I start on that. I like to get a nice base layer, mid-tone, and then I like to go in and add shadows using a paintbrush or an airbrush. I turn the opacity down. I get a new layer, and I put the shadows in. I think I actually start with highlights on this one. It doesn't really technically matter. Your highlights are generally going to be something that pops out, stands out, and is positive space. So you'll usually like to make those last. And I like to make my negative space dark first. And I actually didn't do it here, but it really doesn't matter which is which. I use the levels to change the hue and change the value as well, while keeping the same color, trying to at least. So the idea that you guys need to do and do the best of your ability is work with sketching it out, drawing it, and having those layers and having that sketch where you're using comparative measurement. Get a better sketch in, and then on new layers start painting in what you're doing. Base layer of color, then you can add highlights, shadows, and different midtones and gradients, and just keep building and building and building, and keep stacking layer upon layer upon layer. You can always merge your layers later, and you can always get rid of them with your eyeball button on each layer, and you can also use your lock button on each layer too. It lets you not mess it up. Just do the best you can, work on it the best you can. This is for ag department. This is for us to get a little introduction, a little breather from what we were working on, and a little change of pace. We haven't done much drawing, like heavy duty drawing. We've done a lot of typography stuff, so it's a nice change of pace. Look at your layers. You can also measure comparatively with that, and really try to get into your shadows. Alright, good luck.